It's 7:10, and I want to welcome you to the Town of Trophy Club Town Council meeting. And I particularly want to look at this wonderful full audience we have. We even still have some people here who said they were going to leave, and there he is. So we're so excited that you're here. We thank you for being here, and we also thank you for being online. Online is a wonderful way to stay in touch with what's going on with the town, and to pick it up later on YouTube or Facebook. This is August 25th, and it is 7 o'clock, and we do have a quorum. We have two council on video, Zoom, Stacy Bauer and Jeff Beach. And please stand, and we will have an invocation by Joel Cayley.
All right, let's pray. God, thank you for our town. We're super, super blessed, and I just pray we would be generous and kind and helpful and selfless. Bless those that protect us, and we're grateful for first responders, our military, our leaders. Bless this meeting tonight, Father. May we just operate from kindness and respect and be good citizens, and thank you for our leaders and our town staff, and we ask for protection. We pray that your peace would blanket us, and you always provide. You're a good God, and I pray that we're just generous and grateful. Through Jesus, I ask it. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Tammy, do we have some public speakers?
I have one speaker card for public comments. Jerry King.
Hey, Council. Good evening. Jared King, 106 Panorama. Wanted to talk about a sitting council member that's not here tonight, I guess on Zoom, that has a history of trying to silence critics. This started in 2023 with cease and desist letters to members of the community, and this has continued most recently with questions with the recent criminal allegations, with subpoenas that were submitted to myself, the mayor, Jennifer Olson, and Danny Mayer and Tiffany Nymphius. Okay, and these subpoenas were asking for 5 years of phone logs, asking for any text messages with these nonprofits that I'm not involved in, as well as any text to the mayor. Now, the good news, we had those quashed by the judge just a few days ago. So these subpoenas literally happened at the July 28th council meeting. And I don't see her tonight, but Wendy Bailey, who I think if she runs for a third or fourth attempt, residents should know this. She was the one that was giving the process server our identifications on to serve these subpoenas. So tonight, I just wanted to, first of all, thank the council for the vote of no confidence, and also thank for the council for the ability to remove this sitting council person's ability to represent the town at municipal functions. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we go to Community Spotlight, and John Donnelly will not be with us tonight. He'll be back at another time. And so we go to item 2, Working for You, Trophy Club, update from council members. Anyone would like to say something or whatever? Nobody? Oh, come on. No one? Well, I'm going to say something. because-
Really? Really?
I mean, it just makes my heart go really excited to see people here and who like to be here and who will also again say, we love Trophy Club, we like to live here, our children are here, family's here, and I just want to tell you that I appreciate it. And I just talked to a person right back there. He said, you know, I'm going to move to Trophy Club. No, but it's just wonderful, and we have a wonderful town. We have a great council, wonderful leadership, and so I don't ever want to miss the opportunity to thank everyone for the service to our town, both boards, staff, council, and in particular, our residents who continuously support us in all that we do. Thank you very much. That's just... Oh, I will say, just a another thing, you do know that I have Breakfast with Tiffany's on the third Monday of the month. And it is a wonderful time for you to come out and just meet with Brandon. Is always there. And so someone comes up and asks me, someone the other day came in, had his papers all ready, and I said, "Oh, are you getting ready to talk about those papers?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, wait a minute. I want you to meet Brandon Wright." So it's just a wonderful time just to come and kibitz with a few people and have the opportunity to talk to some of your leaders in the town. So I invite you to Breakfast with Tiffany's, third Monday of the month, Trophy, Tom Thumb, and free coffee, cup of coffee, and a chocolate chip cookie. Don't eat too many chocolate chip cookies, because the rest of them go to the town.
250 calories per cookie.
So anyway, thank you so much. As the mayor, I just want to say how much I appreciate the opportunity to represent you. Okay, anybody else? No? Update from the town manager.
Very good. And I will say that those chocolate chip cookies are delicious on it, so I've eaten a fair share of them myself.
He eats 4 before he leaves.
It's the reason I go. All right, let's see, a couple of updates for you. First of all, we are hosting our very first doggy dive-in event at our community pool. We've been talking a lot about the pool today, but another great opportunity for us on Saturday, September 6th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Come to the Trophy Club Community Pool. Bring your furry friends with you for a chance to enjoy one last splash in the pool before the pool season ends. There is more information available. It is at the Trophy Club Parks and Recreation website online. So go ahead and visit there for more details. Again, September 6th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Boards and commissions, we are hosting an appreciation event for our boards and commission members for this year. We're coming near the end of a term right now, about to appoint new members for the upcoming term here at the beginning of October. So to show appreciation for all those who serve on our boards and commissions, we are hosting a reception in honor of our board commissions and volunteers. The event will be held on September 3rd from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Aloft Hotel. And for more information, you can contact the town secretary, Tammy Dixon, who has that information. But if you're a board commission member, we would enjoy very much having you, or TCEVA member, we would enjoy having you for that event. We do ask, though, that they RSVP beforehand, just to make sure that we have the proper counts for who's attending. A couple of board and commission meetings that are coming up in the next few weeks. September 4th, Planning and Zoning has a board meeting at 6 p.m. And that's actually it for right now on that. And then there's a reminder, Labor Day town offices will be closed in observance of the Labor Day holiday. That's Monday, September 1st. However, police, fire, and emergency medical services will remain in operation as always. And that's all I have for this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to steal Matt's thunder here again. So we're at the final step in a lengthy process to annex that 3 acres into the town. You see a lot of items on this agenda for public hearing. So I thought it's worth explaining that most of these are required by law, and that's why you have them on there that way. Some are required by ordinance. The annexation public hearing is required by law, and so when that happens, if the council decides to adopt the ordinance, then the town will expand its boundaries.
Okay, that was good. And we still have Kurt back there. He's still coming in. That was for you, Kurt. I appreciate it. You're welcome. Okay.
Consent agenda?
Okay.
This part of the agenda consists of non-controversial or housekeeping items required by law. Items may be removed from consent by any council member making such request prior to a motion and vote.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve consent agenda items 3 through 5.
I'll second.
And Ryland seconds. Motion passes.
Mayor, we need to take a vote.
Yeah, pass.
Hold on.
Okay, wait a minute.
This is
All
not
those
Congress.
in favor, raise your hand. All those in
I'm
favor.
voting yes.
Stacy.
We got all unanimous.
Jeff, Stacy, raise your hand. Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Passes. That's individual items.
Item 6, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance amending Plan Development District 13, PD 13, Tract 1, to allow for an indoor commercial amusement uses and bar tavern uses through a specific use permit. The applicant is Pace Golf Lounge, Jordan Mitty, and the subject property is legally described as the Village at Trophy Club, Lot 1, approximately 3.79 acres, Denton County, Texas, and is addressed as 2001 and 2003 East Texas 114, Suite 200, Trophy Club, Texas.
Okay, before we go into this, would you give me just a minute, Matt, please? Because you will see we have 5 items for public hearing. I want to just go over the steps for our public hearing so that everybody knows. I will open the public hearing, at which time the staff will report, and then if an applicant is involved, and they will be asked to present, and then additionally, others can speak to the agenda item, and once all comments are received, the public hearing will be closed, at which time the council will then consider the related agenda item, hold a discussion, and take action. So that is the process we'll be going through, so you're going to hear the gavel go a bunch. So I'm getting ready to, 7:21, the public hearing is open, Matt.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Okay, so item number 6, the subject property on Track 1, formerly known as the Zoom Room. Over there, if you know where Christina's is, so if you're facing the old Zoom Room, Christina's is on your right, and the fishing knife is on the left. So this is the applicant, Pace Golf Lounge, Mr. Jordan Mitty, who he and his lovely wife are present this evening. They've requested 2 amendments to PD 13. The first one it's to allow for indoor commercial amusement as permitted retail use, and then the second one is to allow for a bar tavern use. When we were reviewing the PD 13 uses, we kind of chuckled because it dated itself. One of the permitted uses was music and video store, so this is back in the Blockbuster video era. But in parentheses, it said no video arcade machines. So obviously, they didn't know what virtual golf was back then. But at the time, the definition was probably appropriate then, but would not allow Pace Golf at this point to come in to this Track 1 PD 13. So our solution to accommodate Pace Golf Lounge, we were suggested adding commercial amusement, the use and definition. Because PD 13 backs up to residential, there's 2 different definitions for commercial amusement. You got indoor and outdoor, so obviously we suggested indoor commercial. We've got the definition, I can read it to you. Indoor commercial amusement, an indoor amusement enterprise offering entertainment or games of skill to the general public for a fee of or charge. Uses may include but not limited to archery ranges, bowling alleys, and indoor golf simulator venues. Okay. So part 2 of the amendment would be them requesting the bar tavern use. Bar tavern use is defined as an establishment that derives 75% or more of the establishment's gross revenue from on-premise sales of alcoholic beverages. So they're not going to have a restaurant. So this was new to P&Z and new for y'all they're requesting a bar tavern use because they're not serving food. The item and ordinance was reviewed by a town attorney. Our notices for public hearing was distributed and required by our ordinance and state law. Staff, we did receive 1 phone call in opposition due to possible noise, trash, things like that. But and then the applicant is present to answer any questions after the public hearing is closed. And at this time, I'm going to call Chairman Biggs up for the P&Z discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There was some discussion on this, not a lot. One of the questions was hours and lighting, I think, related to the call there. But we have enforcement for all that normally, so that was not a big issue for us. The other question that came up was parking. But since we got rid of all the U-Hauls, there's plenty of parking up there. So I don't have to worry about it anymore. So there's very little discussion about this. It passed unanimously. I think it's a good use. Everyone thought it was a good use for the city related to our golf course community type concept. And we thought it would really be a good addition to the business group up here. So that's how we voted unanimously. And we had a 5 out of 6 group. So, questions?
Does the applicant want to speak? Okay. Other speakers would like to speak to this agenda item? This public hearing? Okay?
No.
Okay. I'm going to close the agenda item at public hearing at 7:26, and now we can open it up to discussion by the council. Do you have comments?
I'd make a motion to approve case PMD-AMD-25-003.
Second.
I'll second.
Well, that's easy.
I do have one question.
Wait a minute. Oh, okay.
Yeah, before we vote.
Who seconded it?
Did Jeff, I don't know.
Yeah, Jeff had it.
got it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Now
Okay.
let's see.
Matt, you mentioned something about a percentage of alcohol sales of the total?
75%.
75%
Yes.
of all the revenue will be alcohol sales?
That's the definition for bar tavern.
Correct.
So
Oh.
if you got 75% alcohol sales over any other sales, whether it's food, playing games or things like that, that would be the definition.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, keep your hands up because Tammy needs to count the votes.
7-0.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next item, please.
Item 7, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance approving a specific use permit for a bar tavern. The applicant is Pace Golf Lounge, Jordan Mitty, and the subject property is legally described as the Village at Trophy Club, Lot 1, approximately 3.79 acres, Denton County, Texas, and is generally located at the northwest corner of Trophy Club Drive and State Highway 114. The property is addressed as 2001 East Texas 114, Suite 200, Trophy Club, Texas.
7:28, in public hearing, please.
All right, good evening again. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit. So as from the first item, I kind of foreshadowed to this. They're requesting an SUP, and that would be part of, since the first one passed, now we can go on to this. Bar tavern, again, definition of an establishment that derives 75% or more of establishment's gross revenue from on-premise sale of alcohol beverages. So Pace Golf Lounge, they do intend to offer virtual golf simulation bays for an hourly rental. And I skipped over, I'm going to go back just a second, because this is kind of one of the renderings. So an application, they did file for an SUP for mixed beverage permit. Pace Golf Lounge intends to offer golf accessories, light concessions, and snacks like you'd purchase at a normal, like, golf pro shop. So they will not prepare food in this particular unit. However, in talking with Jordan, their hopes is to get with some of the neighboring restaurants and then maybe have like a refined menu for customers to order and then have brought over to them. Again, this item and ordinance has been reviewed by town attorney, notice public hearing by ordinance and state law, and we did receive, again, that one phone call in opposition. I will say the applicant is present, so after you close the hearing, if y'all just have questions, then he can introduce himself.
Perfect.
And then at this time, Mr. Biggs.
You're a very important person tonight, Mr. Biggs.
These are pretty easy when it comes to alcohol. It seems they pass very quickly, you know. And you got alcohol and golf, and so there weren't many questions about this particular item. So it passed unanimously also. So, any questions about alcohol?
Any other comments from the, okay. It's 7:30, close the hearing, and we can hear from the council.
I'd like to just briefly,
Yes, sir.
SUP, special use permit, because this is public, and that's all you've used is SUP. So can it, you're talking about a special use permit, and can it last after they leave, or what's the ending on it?
So if they leave, then this process would start over again. And I'm glad you brought that up. So this is specific to track one. So we wouldn't have like a bar alley at this point. So this is very specific to this location and track one as well.
Thank you, Matt. I just wanted to get that clarified.
Okay?
May I ask, Jordan?
Yeah.
Is this your only business, or do you have others like this?
Yes, so this will be our first one.
Good. Do you have plans for more?
Assuming everything goes great,
Okay.
which,
Okay.
yeah, love the conversation in here, but yeah, assuming it does, that would be great.
So what brought you to Trophy Club?
Well, we just moved to Roanoke. I know. About 7 months ago. I've been joking with these guys. If the business does well, we'll be over here soon. But no, we moved there 7 months ago. I'm a big golfer. I use these businesses. I've used them a few times, and I was shocked that there wasn't anything close up here.
Okay.
The one I go to or have gone to is about 40 minutes away. And just knowing the golf culture up here, I was really surprised. And, you know, we've been wanting to start a business for a while and thought this was a great opportunity here. So,
Well, good. God bless you. And good. Golf is a big deal around here. So as you notice, we have 2 golf courses.
definitely.
Yeah, and there are a lot of golfers who don't belong to that golf course that you can get in your business.
Bring them over.
There-
Bring them over.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, well, and we wanted to say we're really excited for the opportunity in Trophy Club. Again, like you've mentioned, we think it's perfect for this type of business. So, you know, we're committed to putting out the best product and really experience possible. So
Good.
appreciate y'all, and yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
And he's also been very patient with us because he came in, dropped off the set of plans. We're ready, you know, he's ready to
Yeah.
get stamped approved, and we said, no.
So when will you be able
Gotta
to
wait.
begin, when will you be able to start working?
Next Tuesday.
Oh, good. We'll walk over and see your progress. Okay, good. Okay, we are going to item 6.
Or we need a motion. I'll make a
I'm
motion.
sorry.
I'll make a
Thank-
motion
thank
to
you.
approve case SUP-25-003, the SUP for a bar tavern for Pace Golf Lounge.
Second.
Dennis seconds that. All
And
those-
real quick, before the vote, I just wanted to mention, because Dennis kind of brought it up, the way our zoning ordinances work, we have actually an SUP process for any business that sells alcohol, regardless of the ratio. But our ability to allow this business specifically is a result of a 2016 local option election to permit 51% and above, which a lot of people worked really hard on, and this is how the forward thinking at that time, this is what it yields, is we wouldn't be able to have a business like this. So that's exciting to see things pay off 9 years later.
Yeah. We went out and got
Yeah,
those,
we
we
did.
went out and got those signatures.
A lot of signatures.
A lot of signatures. Okay.
Vote?
Are we voting now?
Yes.
All
Call
those in-
for a vote.
Yeah, all those in favor, raise your hand. And please keep them up for Stacy and,
All in favor, 7-0.
motion passes. Yeah, you know that's
Item-
exactly right.
Item 8, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance annexing approximately 3.182 acres of land situated in the Thomas J. Allen Survey, Abstract Number 7, and the J.S. Kenley Survey, Abstract 1641, within Denton County, Texas.
7:34, public hearing is open.
All right, good evening again. So the property to be annexed is within town's our ETJ, and generally located north of Milson's Point Drive, west of Trophy Park Drive. On August 11th, Trophy Club Town Council approved the resolution number 2515, accepting, this is what Dean just got through going over, accepting an annexation petition, calling a public hearing, notifying of a public hearing, and approving of an amendment to the development agreement for the subject property. The required public hearing notice was published August 13th, and all associated notices have been mailed. The proposed ordinance approves the annexation of the property. Staff has received no letters in support or opposition. Town attorney has reviewed the ordinance as to form and legality, and staff does recommend approving the annexation ordinance.
Is that it? Any public speakers?
I don't have anybody signed up to speak.
Okay. So, 7:36, close the public hearing. Discussion, comments, questions?
We do
I have a question.
We've got a representative if you do have.
Okay. Who had the question?
Jeff,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do.
I hear it and then I don't see you.
This is a routine process that we're doing right now for about, what, 3 more items, Matt?
What did you mean?
Plat.
8, 9, 10?
No, I think he's talking.
No, not on the agenda, on,
The plan.
for this particular project.
Oh, there's probably two more that would be considered routine. So this one's a big one because y'all are voting on annexing, so.
Okay. That answered that question. Thank you.
Okay.
Do we need to hear from Kurt?
If y'all have any questions.
I just want to invite Jordan to move the Trophy Club out of Rome. Glad to build your house.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance annexing approximately 3.12 acres of land situated in the Thomas J. Allen Survey, abstract number 7, and the J.S. Kinley Survey, abstract number 1641, within Denton County, Texas.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Please keep them up for her to count.
All in favor, 7-0.
Motion passed.
Item 9, conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance approving a text amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Section 14.02.405, Zoning Board of Adjustment, J, waiting period, to reduce the waiting period from 1 year to 4 months.
7:37, public hearing's open.
It's my last one.
You sure? I have one more public.
He looks so
hearing.
sad. What do I do now?
Section 14.02.405 Zoning Board of Adjustment outlines the duties and powers of the board. Section J identifies the required waiting period. Municipalities typically adopt some kind of restriction that minimizes just the burden of processing same zoning changes, coming back to staff just routinely. And so that's where we get the 1 year at this time. On June 23rd, staff was directed by town council to initiate a zoning ordinance text amendment to change the waiting period from 1 year to 4 months. This item and ordinance has, okay, I skipped a section. So we took this to P&Z, and I guess at this time I'll have Commissioner Biggs come back up.
I was chair for 2 years of P&Z, Mike, and I think I spoke 3 times total.
Well,
I think you beat me in one night.
well, I think he likes it.
Oh, it's fun.
I think he likes being here.
I do.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely do.
Yeah, I know. That's,
This item, the other 2 items are pretty easy. This one took a little bit more time and a lot more discussion. We had a very lively discussion. I don't know if any of you looked at the video or watched the video, but I was on P&Z at one time, and it's a very interesting committee. And I'm not sure a lot of people understand how interesting it really is. So we went into a little bit of detail about hardship and things like that. And I know I've expressed to several council members before that this committee is going to see more and more of issues come up. Staff screens them pretty much, but the commissioners on the P&Z thought it should be shorter than 4 months. I mean, one of them thought, hey, 15 days, what the heck, let the people get on with their lives and figure out how to help them do their things, much like we did when I was on P&Z. Most things when I was on P&Z were fences because the golf course lots are not, square, and they curve and stuff, and that caused a big problem with setback issues with our fencing ordinance. So, we had to accommodate to our ordinances or give variance for our ordinance to accommodate people to be able to put gates up to keep their kids in the backyard, So, but it's very unique, and I think the item that triggered this is an interesting item too, and I think we're going to see more of those too, like my neighbor across the street. He'll be next. But,
Are your next door neighbor, you mean?
yeah, no, his garage is there. My garage actually faces the street, believe it or not. But anyway, so we talked a lot about this and gave a little history and at least the feel of what the P and Z committee does. Not P and Z, the
Adjustment.
Adjustment Committee, yeah. And so we ended up coming up with a recommendation for 90 days. And the reason for that is because if you look at the application process we have at the city for a variance coming to this committee, then it takes a staff sometimes based on the, timing of our committee meetings for planning and zoning to consider, or their committee meetings to consider it, it takes about 30 days. So we took 30 days off the 4 months. It really will end up being 4 months at the end of the day, perhaps, but we wanted to accommodate for that timing, staff timing and that delay, and get the people at least an opportunity to come back and say, we made some adjustments, we got some new plans, we got some new suggestions, our architect said this and whatnot, so it'd be a little bit faster than what it is a year. I think everybody's, well, a year, that's crazy, So that's how we came up with a recommendation for 90 days, which really turns out through process to be the 4 months that was originally, planned, so.
Are you saying your garage is out of order?
We're still in a public hearing.
Yeah, my garage is out of ordinance, I'm tearing it down tomorrow. No, I'm actually converting it to living space. Ha.
I apologize, I'm not supposed to.
That's okay, Dennis, I'll forgive you.
It's the only one that faces the street, so I don't get it, but,
This is a grace period, see?
yeah, it's a 15-year grace period.
Are there speakers to this item?
Any questions, anybody?
No, we don't have, we can't question you.
That's right, we got to talk about it later, okay. I always mess that up.
You did, that's okay.
All right, so the one part I left out, ordinance has been reviewed by town attorney. Our public hearing notices, as per Trophy Club zoning ordinance and state law, we did receive one email in support, so.
Okay, good.
And just to confirm that the ordinance that is, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the ordinance in your packet is drafted for 90 days.
Okay. So,
You can close the public hearing unless there's a speaker.
do we have any more speakers?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I'm gonna close it at 7:43. We can discuss this. So, comments?
Mayor, I brought it up, and I like the 90 days. I think there's a good reason for it, and unless somebody wants to discuss it,
I like 90. I totally agree. I appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to approve this ordinance for 90 days.
Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
second.
Ryland seconds. Okay, we need to vote. We need to vote. Everybody in favor, raise your hand.
Right or left hand?
You choose.
I always go left. I'm a lefty.
All in
my
favor, vote 7-0.
Hold them up. Okay, got it. Motion passes. This is a great night.
Item 10, conduct a public hearing for the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget and fiscal year 2026-2031 capital improvement program, and schedule the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget and 26-2031 capital improvement program for the September 8th, 2025 Town Council meeting.
Okay.
Good
April?
evening, Mayor and Council.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 7:44.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, we're holding the required public hearing on the proposed budget. Following the hearing, as Tammy said, council action is needed to schedule final consideration of the budget for the September 8th Town Council meeting.
It's,
Make sure it's on.
It is on. I think that's the one.
It'd go smoother if you let Matt handle it.
Maybe.
Sorry, so it looks like my slides are not what they're supposed to be, so we're gonna wing it. So this year's proposed budget is based on a rate of 0.412864, which is slightly lower than last year's rate of just over 41.5 cents. Of this total rate, just under 31 cents is dedicated to maintenance and operations. while a little more than 10 cents is allocated to the interest and sinking fund, which covers the town's debt obligations. This budget projects general fund revenues of just over 17.5 million, with overall, all the funds, total budgeted revenues of 27.5 million. The total budgeted expenditures are 31.3 million. Approximately 17.7 million of that is related to the general fund. This slide provides a high-level summary of all town funds for the fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget. Major changes in the fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget include several personnel-related updates. And we did review these at the workshop, so this is repeating, but I think it's important to get it on the record. A 3% cost of living adjustment, or COLA, along with performance-based merit increases of 2 or 4%, depending on individual evaluations for all staff, as well as step increase changes for our public safety staff. And lastly, we implemented a market adjustment to address pay equity and retention. This adjustment impacted 15 full-time and 5 part-time positions, including crossing guards, lifeguards, recreation aides, leads, and pool managers. Fire and EMS had a 25% increase in funding related to the higher NEFTA dues. The community development budget has a $140,000 reduction in plan review services. This relates to one-time costs in fiscal year 24-25 associated with the Byron Nelson High School Stadium project. The Hot Fund, we are transitioning away from the Taste of Trophy Club event and replacing it with a new community celebration that will be called the Harvest Festival. We've added $20,000 to support local arts programming and introduced $100,000 for the tourism incentive program. And lastly, the final major change is the addition of a police cadet position in the CCPD budget, and that was approved by the CCPD board.
Okay, before we go to questions, is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak to this?
I did have a few more comments
Okay.
on the capital improvement program.
good, thank you.
I apologize, my slides are not in here for some reason. But this year's capital improvement program delivers a $23 million investment in critical infrastructure, strategically advancing the town council's vision to enhance quality of life while ensuring both environmental stewardship and long-term fiscal responsibility. The key projects included in this program are street and sidewalk replacements and improvements, traffic safety enhancements around the high school, mobile vehicle barriers and safety drones for community events, and new warning sirens and crosswalk flashers. Once again, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Finance Subcommittee members for their dedication and support throughout this process. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sir, did you have a comment? Would you please come to the podium, please? Thank you. It's for recording. You get to be recorded.
I was curious why.
What is your name and
Mike Evans.
address?
20 Hillcrest Court.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Sorry, I should have read that right there, right?
That's okay.
No, I was curious on the fire EMS, why is there a 25% increase? Where'd that increase come from? Does anybody got an answer, or?
All of the NEFTA dues.
Huh?
Yes.
April can provide that.
Yeah.
April, did you want to go ahead and
I don't know what that was related to, but that's a Northeast Fire Department Association, which is a collaboration of multiple fire departments, sorry. I believe Westlake, Roanoke, there's about 15 in there. And
North Richland Hills.
that's the use of all of the different resources that each of those departments have. It allows Trophy Club to have access to that resources without actually purchasing that resource.
I got you.
It's a consolidation of,
And Chief may have more explanation on that, but
it gives us a lot of resources for emergency responses. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's 7:50, closing public hearing. Thank you so much. We need a
Mayor,
motion.
what, did she say 23 million in projects? Isn't that over a few years versus 1 year?
Or the
Yes,
6
sir.
years?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Thank you. You missed the
That's
six.
over the 6
You
years.
missed the 6 years.
Yes,
The
sir.
other thing is, Mayor, could I say that any resident can always contact staff for a more detailed and briefing on any part of the budget?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And it's actually on your website. Hey, y'all learn to use our beautiful Trophy Club
Yeah.
website. I'm even trying to.
Because 25% sounds gigantic, right?
Yes.
But if it's just a piece of one line item, it may not be until explained.
Several $1,000s probably at most.
Right.
Yeah, I think the total amount of the increase was, I think, $10,000, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly, right? $9,000, $10,000.
Okay, I just wanted to say that it's available for people to get answers to their questions. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Do we have a motion for this, please?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the.
Close the public
No,
hearing
oh,
again?
you.
Yeah, it's closed.
You
Yeah, you should
closed
close
it.
it at
Oh,
7:50. Hey, I'm just, this is the last
Closed it
public
twice.
hearing.
So nice, we closed it twice.
The double
He's
close.
tired of hearing the,
Right next to the galley, you know.
Now you confuse me. What am I approving? Mayor,
Scheduling the,
number
I make a
10.
motion that we accept agenda item number 10.
Thank you. A second,
Approved.
please.
Excuse me.
just to
Wait,
clarify,
just a minute, you're,
We,
I'll make a motion that we move to schedule the adoption of the FY 2026 budget and FY 2026 to 2031 capital improvement program for the September 8th, 2025 town council meeting.
Is there a second, please?
Second, that's what
Steve-
Dennis meant to say,
Steve
second,
seconds
yeah.
that.
okay.
I need a vote.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Keep them raised, please. Are we all?
All in favor, 7-0.
Stacy's yes. Motion passes.
Item 11, consider an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2025, in the amount of $8,150,000, levying a tax and providing for the security for and payment of said certificates, awarding the sale of the certificates, authorizing the execution and delivery of paying agent agreement, approving the official statement, enacting other provisions related to the subject.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we are considering an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2025. This item was first introduced at the June 23rd council meeting, at which time staff received authorization to proceed with the notice of intent. That process has brought us to this evening's consideration. The proceeds from this issuance will fund important community investments, including street and sidewalk improvements and the remodel of the Streets and Parks Maintenance Shop. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. McCliney from Samco Capital up to present the details of the issuance. And following his presentation, we will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. My name is Mark McCliney. I'm with Samco Capital Markets. We're the town's financial advisor. With me is Jack McCliney, also with Samco, and Rob Collins, who is your bond counsel. You've seen Julie Partain in years past. She's double booked tonight, and so we got Rob to graciously join us in case there's questions about the bond indenture, about the bond ordinance. Before I turn it to Jack for go over the results, I really want to tell you how excited I am on the news that you all got AAA rated. It is a rare accomplishment. Your staff over the last couple of years put together some changes to policies and the fact that you've got this long-term, 5-year, 6-year capital improvement program really was the reasons the S&P came back and said, look, we're going to take a deep look into this town again, because we've been AA plus for a long time. It is a real feather in your all's cap. What you have done and managed over the past 10 or so years, what staff has implemented the last couple of years is really a huge difference maker to the town, and to be able to be one of the few towns in the state of Texas to carry a AAA is something that you all should be very, very proud of, as well as your community. So
So we give a hand. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for your team.
with that, that set us up for a great bond sale, and I'm going to turn it over to Jack McCliney to go over that.
Mayor, Council, great to see you all again. He covered everything I wanted to say about the bond rating. I'll just hop right into the bids. This morning at 10 a.m., we went out for bid, and that great bond rating helped us bring in 8 bids from across the country, the lowest of which having a true interest cost of 3.628 from Piper and Sandler Co. All through the preparation of this issuance, we had been running our models at a 5% interest rate.
Wow.
So this 3.628 comes in much below that and really allowed us to easily hit our debt service targets. And with that, Samco's recommendation would be to accept the Piper Sandler & Co. bid for the 2025 COs. That's the true interest cost, the coupon, average coupon throughout with the weighted maturity and average life of the bond.
Okay.
And I'll note, Council, that you do have an updated ordinance there at your seats reflecting the actual amount of the issuance for the principal amount. It is $7,885,000. I'm sorry. Yeah, $7,885,000 with that. So when you move to approve the item, we'll have you read the caption as it reads in the new ordinance.
Okay. Well, again, I want to say thank you to our finance, who leads us financially, as well as our subcommittee, our finance subcommittee, April, and your team. Thank you. Your due diligence, you're consistently working for Trophy Club. We appreciate it. Thank you. We need a motion.
I don't have a hard copy of that updated ordinance. What was that number again?
Yeah,
Is
we're all looking for it. All right, I'll make a motion that we authorize the issuance of the Town of Trophy Club Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Bonds of Obligation Series 2025 in the principal amount of
$7,885,000.
levying a tax and providing thereafter.
Second?
I'll second.
Ryland seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Stacy, okay.
Vote 7-0, all in favor.
Yeah. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Very much, Jack. Thank you all
Congratulations
for
to
your-
the city.
Should have held out for 3.2, but that's okay.
I know. So, Mike, before you leave, how long have you been servicing or working with Trophy Club?
I've probably been here 12 years, but Dan Allman before me, who brought me in with it probably 20 years before that, since the town was formed.
So, okay, there you go.
So
That's what I
between the
wanted to
two
hear.
of us, we've been here since you all were created.
Yay, that's good. Thank you. That means you like us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good. Thank you very much.
Item 12, consider approval of the small area plan for the growth at Trophy Club. And we do have 3 speakers signed up.
Okay.
Do you want the speakers now or?
Yeah, why don't we just have the speakers first, please?
The first speaker we have is Richard Beatty.
Mayor,
Hi.
City Council.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon, good to see you guys. First, I have not seen any of the pictures or the plats of the latest improvement on what you wanted to work at. So that's the main gist that I wanted to be able to see. First, what exactly is the Trophy Club? And I used our official website to describe the Trophy Club. It's an affluent suburb of the DFW Metroplex. That sounds good. A small, golf-centric, rural, which at one time it was rural here, getaway for Dallas executives and retirees into a premium residential community. I'll repeat, premium residential community. And that's all what we want. That's why most of us have moved into this area, is because we know it's a nice, quality place where we could live, raise our children, and enjoy fellowship with our fellow neighbors. I have a couple just real quick questions for the council. And this pertains to you understanding what the plats are. Because a lot of times you look and you say, oh, well, there's 50 feet here, or this is going to be spread out to about 20 feet here. And if you don't have any sort of physical identity on what it's like, then maybe you might, it might be hard to understand. I'm assuming all of you in the council have visited or gone to all of our commercial buildings within the Trophy Club and have looked around them to see what they look like and how they might affect the sightlines for the privacy of our residents. You can just do that, walk around Christina's, walk around wherever. And I was wondering if you've ever taken measurements from where the property lines are to any green area between, up to curbside and maybe up to the buildings to see. So that way, when you look on a map and then you see, oh, well, that thing's 20 feet apart, that way you know, oh, well, that's kind of like the difference between the backside of Christina's to, the grass area there, or the distance between the fence and maybe the bank that's up near the front. So I was just wondering that, making sure that all of you would at least consider looking at places like that. Also, another thing to consider is when you do look at all of our commercial, except for the hotels and the 3 apartment things that we have in this city, everything else is 1 story. You look at all of the, I just wrote some down that are all down. Christina's and that whole area there, single story. The bank, single story. The office towns that are right off as soon as you get into the main area of the Trophy Club off to the left.
I'm sorry, your
So-
time. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
But anyway, that's what I definitely wanted to make sure that you guys are looking. Also, mixed use is apartments, and all the people along that strip that are facing that area are adamantly opposed to having multi-story buildings right behind us.
Thank you.
For privacy.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
Second speaker is Jan Beatty.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you do have 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Hi,
Sorry,
I'm
I-
Jan Beatty. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Town Council. My name is Jan Beatty. I'm a 41-year resident, and I live at 18 Hillcrest Court, which backs up to the area under discussion. My husband built our house in 1980, and he was excited to be in an upscale neighborhood. Wonderful for bringing up a family. He had a choice of building on the golf course or on our cul-de-sac, where the kids could safely play, and he could build a fence for privacy. He chose privacy, and now our privacy is being overridden, and we would basically live in a fishbowl. Anything over 1 story is going to look right into our backyard. If there was a mixed-use building built behind us, mixed use is a really deceptive label. Instead of calling them apartments or offices or shops with apartments above. All of the offices in Trophy Club are 1 story. We've never had a mixed-use building. We have shops, even a beautiful 1-story office up front that has the dormers on it that make it look very homey, very welcome to Trophy Club. Sorry. And all of the 3 apartment buildings do not overlook any of the Trophy Club residents. We realize that the property will end up being commercial for tax reasons, but to have anything over 1 story is taking away the privacy we built our house in Trophy Club for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
There's 2 names listed on this, Michael and Gloria Evans.
Hi, it's me again.
Hi.
20 Hillcrest Court.
You're a quick learner.
Nailed it.
Good try. This is my wife Gloria.
Evans, 20 Hillcrest Court.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We also, we live like right on the places that, we got the hotel in our backyard basically, right? So all those guys can see in our backyard. We've come to the conclusion, well, that's gonna happen with that hotel because it can't be gone. But what we don't want is something else to be there that's that high or even close to that high, to have somebody just looking on their back, from their back patio, looking right into our backyard. We just don't want that. I know that some things need to happen back there in that area, and I'm all for that, but not an apartment complex or parking garage, something of that nature. But anyway, I just want to give my 2 cents on that. Do you have anything?
Yeah, agree. And to add to that, we appreciate the opportunity for the economic development and, additional, businesses in that area. We actually frequent some of the businesses that are in the area today. So we're grateful for that. But to Michael's point, multi-stories is not ideal for us. Although I will say that a noise barrier would be really great because the highway is quite loud in where we sit. But the reality is he's correct that we're in a bit of a fishbowl there. And there's the obvious privacy concerns, but also security concerns, particularly with the positioning of the buildings that are proposed. They seem to be right up against our back fence. And also the idea of a golf cart path, raises the obvious security questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate it. Any other speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So we would like to bring, Brandon, you are going to be
I
the
can go
speaker
give a
for
quick
this.
intro.
Thank you.
Yep. As the town council know, this process started probably a little over a year ago with the selection of McAdams as the town's firm to go ahead and work through the process of developing what's called a small area plan. A small area plan really is just an opportunity to take in a smaller area such as this area that we've identified here next to Trophy Wood and create a plan for it that tries to coordinate the future development, opportunities for infill development, the infrastructure improvements that need to happen over time, and a way to make it give it a sense of place, a cohesion for that area that ultimately allows for the area to thrive in whatever whatever way that we see that thriving into the future. So I'm going, and then in the process here, so we've had a lot of resident input into the process. We've had opportunities to meet with our Economic Development Corporation and review this with them. This comes to you as a recommendation from the Economic Development Corporation. They unanimously approved the recommendation to you for this particular item. So I'll bring forward the McAdams team at this time for the presentation, and we'll turn it over to them.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Randy Rivera. I'm the planner with McAdams, 4400 State Highway 121 in Louisville, Texas. We are very happy to be here. I've been working with staff and the EDC for a year, as Brandon alluded to. Our team is here tonight, so we're going to approach this presentation with a number of us. So on our team was myself, Jameson Pinson, our Director of Landscape Architecture, and Marissa Brewer, our other planner, and then Jason Klonch and Chris Brahman from Catalyst Commercial. And so between all of us, I believe we'll be able to answer your questions. So we provided a brief overview in this slide deck. It's not the full plan, but obviously we would like to share that with anybody who would like to see that. I think it ended up being 60 pages or so. So the Grove at TC, this is the name of this 54-acre small area. And here is a schedule looking back when we did kick this off in July and the steps that we took to arrive at this final plan. This was a community-driven plan with market input considered, and then the goals and the vision of the town aligned with that. So started off with the stakeholder feedback. It was important to meet with property owners, inventory analysis, understanding the area, then the market study that Catalyst Commercial had done to identify the trade area that this area is located within and what are appropriate uses that could be attracted to the area. Community engagement, we ended up doing a workshop, an open house in November of last year, and it was in the morning and in the evening. The plan summarizes those findings. We also put out a community-wide survey with 595 responses to that. Then we drafted different plan scenarios, presented those to the EDC, to staff. We did the workshop and the joint workshop with council, and then arrived at a preferred plan, revised the document, and now here we are. Yay, we're excited. All right, August, we're here. So it's, these plans aren't done at any kind of vacuum. They're done with input from the stakeholders. That's what's really important to inform the plan, and that's how we know it will be successful. And that's what Brandon alluded to, the purposes of a small area plan. So we started off with, this is the right time to do this. There was interest in these vacant parcels, but what could be done to make this 54 acres a more coordinated, cohesive, unified vision? Let's put a pause on some of these applications or interest that was coming in the door, and what were some important things that we needed to consider? We felt like, I think we talked early on about connectivity and infrastructure and looking at those. And so the small area plan helps now to create and wrap that up in a package of being able to point to it when applicants come in and they're interested in developing here or redeveloping here. Staff and town leadership can point to this plan and say, this is our vision, this is what we wanted to see here. It was important to have this trail connection, or this turn point, or this access point, or this buffer, whatever those components were. And so in the back of the plan is the implementation section, and we'll talk about that with our presentation here in just a second. The plan also helps, the purpose of that is to prioritize funding on the infrastructure, anything that needs to, a capital improvement that could help improve the plan. And then also supporting the policy and regulations and updates to those, what in the town might need to be updated to reflect some of the goals that came out of this process. One that might come into in the implementation section is the shared parking requirement across the 54 acres. We feel like with off-peak uses, it would probably be good to allow shared parking. All right, the community engagement process, this is the three things that we did was the stakeholder meetings with the properties and business owners within the 54-acre area, then that online survey I talked about, and then the open house meeting in November. And so the common themes that emerged from the community engagement was the connectivity, community spaces, gathering spaces, and having a thriving business. So this input, again, was used to inform the planning process at how we arrived at that preferred plan that we'll talk about here in just a moment. And now I'd like for Catalyst to speak to the market study.
Thank you. Mayor and council, it's an honor and pleasure being here. My name is Jason Claunch. I'm with Catalyst. My associate, Chris Branham, and I both supported the McAdams team and the market analysis and also some of the planning work that's been done. This is an amazing kind of point of time with the new facility updates and a lot of the development in the region to sort of rethink and relook at, essentially how you would position the town and what's important to you in terms of the corridor and the scale and type of development. I appreciate the comments tonight from the citizens. This is a policy document, it's not zoning, so those decisions will be made later. But this is essentially what Randy had mentioned, is sort of laying out the framework and the guidepost. Fortunately, in this process, you've done your strategic plan, and we made our best efforts to weave those guiding principles into this planning process. So that was work that we were able to leverage into. But really take advantage of a very sort of robust and growing corridor. The 114 corridor in this area has been significant in terms of economic development for a number of years. And so we were looking at a way to sort of cater and create a symbiotic relationship between the amazing neighborhoods that you guys have built and the commercial corridor and the frontage to allow you to continue to sustain the services and provide the level of amenities that you have in the town for the neighborhood. So essentially, this is intended to be a process that looks at you really maintaining your quality of life, but taking advantage of sort of a new frontage that got created. And obviously, Trophy Club is well positioned in that market. As part of this process, we looked at both in the city limits, but also what we would consider your trade area. We spent a lot of time looking at customer intercepts and patrons and where people shop that live here, but also where people come to Trophy Club to do shopping and eating and entertainment. And so through that process, we did uncover sort of a robust need for retail and more entertainment. And we did include some office component. You've got sort of a wide region of a large educated and talent pool that you could choose from or pull from. And then we do know that this opportunity could support additional residential. And so we looked at really all three of those as a component into this development. All would be sort of supportive, but none would be required. We looked at each one of these sort of as exclusive or exclusive and not independent of one another, so that you guys could explore how to integrate all of these concepts into the final plan. So, and then I'm going to walk through essentially some of these core principles, but Randy had mentioned, really the desire is to integrate the guiding principles that you'd already developed, how to integrate the hub, make sure that the development is thoughtful. She'd mentioned places for more open spaces and connections and programming, integrate those gathering places, and really use the development to create sort of iconic frontage or branding for the district. And if you can see, many of these are familiar with you. These are part of your guiding principles in the strategic plan, and we integrated these and wove those into this process to make sure that essentially your overall community goals met sort of the plan goals as well. And then I'm going to let McAdams come back and sort of present sort of the elements of the concept and how we took some of the market-based work and integrated it into the planning process and the thoughts.
Good evening. My name is Marcia Brewer. I'm a planner with McAdams. Thank you, Jason. So just touching on the guiding principles and what that kind of means. So those guiding principles are kind of what we've taken and we've used to integrate all of them within the plan. Within those guiding principles, there was also some objectives that were in there as well. And so as you go through the document, you'll see kind of what those objectives were and how we implemented them through design. So starting this process, we went ahead and started with the option 1 and option 2. We approached it as kind of two different options, one with a more kind of less infrastructure changes, kind of low-key, more minimal approach, and then we wanted to do more of an intense that caused more infrastructure changes approach too, and we came and presented both plans at both council and EDC. And then what we heard from that, we heard a lot of great feedback and we had a lot of great discussion about what does this mean? How does this actually work? How is this pencil? And so we wanted to take that and look at how this would actually work out. We looked at a phasing plan. We looked at how each of these elements support one another. And then we came up with option 2B. So this is the preferred plan that we had approached. We heard a lot from y'all about providing flexibility, providing, making sure that's feasible, making sure that you're integrating all these different elements, but it doesn't all have to be done at once. So this plan is aiming to look far into the future, but looking at different ways of how you can slowly integrate different things. We really wanted to emphasize that this is an idea and this is a framework for if someone was to come in and say, I like this location, what can be done here? So the plan itself doesn't necessarily assign use or size. It's looking more at what size, what could fit here, how does this work with the land, how can we sit there and make sure that we're integrating those principles, but also when you're going and you're looking at an application, are we answering those questions? Are we looking at what we actually intended in this plan, in this document to be? So the preferred plan goes and we break it down into options. So this is the preferred layout, but then it talks about building forms. So one of the objectives within the guiding principles was vertical mixed use. It talks about how vertical mixed use needs to be integrated in here. It needs to show different levels. And so this plan looks at how that can be done. It's not saying that it has to be 5 stories or 2 stories. It's looking at how can this be done and where could it be done and make it make sense in the appropriate areas. So the options show building form of whether or not you want to show a larger building, if you want to remove a building, it's just showing how those things can be integrated, but then also looking at how it would look with the land, and basically showing that within this area. With that, we talk about pedestrian plans. So a lot of the feedback that we heard was connectivity, accessibility. They really wanted to emphasize this is a walkable place. And so how is that done? We looked at different options. A lot of people said, I would love to walk on the back from Indian Creek down. They don't have to go all the way around. They also wanted to sit there and use their golf carts, and how would that be done? So trying to make sure that some of those options are in there. This is more for how you would place, not only are you looking at pedestrian connectivity, but then you're also utilizing it with the buildings. So where are you putting your buildings and how is it creating that streetscape? In the plan itself, it also makes recommendations on what are those things that you need to make pedestrians feel safe. So it makes suggestions on enhancing streetscape. It makes suggestions on making sure you have barriers in between cars and people. So it's not just talking about you have to do this design. It's saying here's some suggestions on how you can also make pedestrians feel safe and also make that integrated into the plan itself. Same with the vehicular plan. One of the objectives was to increase accessibility and then make sure that you leverage that I-14 or 114 frontage. So being able to make sure that you have options for Trophywood Drive, and then being able to connect through these buildings. You know, if this plan was to ever fully be built out, how are you going to have vehicular circulation integrated with pedestrian circulation, and making sure that, you know, you have options so that way things don't get backed up. But it looks at also realigning, you know, if you were to want more open space and really make town hall that anchor, you could change the plan and come around and swoop front and then go down and then bring the buildings in. So it's just providing more options based on how you want to integrate some of these elements within it. And then with the open space, you know, town hall is our anchor, and that's one of the objectives is whoever comes in, whatever comes in, we want to remain that as the focus of how do you put open space and where should that open space be? And we really wanted to emphasize putting that open space near town hall or near the restaurant so people could go and eat and hang out and have a place to have events and have the place to go and spend time with their families. We really heard community gathering spaces was a big thing for the residents, and looking at that. We also did an analysis based on our discussion with what would this be if we just did not want to add any garages. I know garages that's a huge infrastructure cost. So we did an analysis on what y'all could do if it was just surface level parking. These numbers can vary based off of, you know, what could be done, like if you add parking along Plaza, or if you were to add on-street parking somewhere else, if you were to expand parking near Town Hall, those sorts of things can be adjusted. But this is kind of what you would get as far as building square footage and use for if you did not want to bring in any type of garages or any additional expenses like that. So we wanted to make sure we showed that because we did talk about it, and this is kind of what we came out with. And then I'm going to pass it back to Jason to talk about the implementation of the plan.
Thank you very much. I think as part of this planning process, one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did is really laid out sort of clear guideposts. And I mentioned that really this is a policy document that, as you can see, McAdams built in a lot of flexibilities and you know, depending on the applicant and the desired land use and how those buildings are organized, you know, the town may feel different about that. And so ultimately there will be a process to approve sort of individual site plans and some of the other documents. But as part of this process, I think the key, you know, strategy here is that, you know, a lot of these parcels are owned by different parties, some of that owned by town. And so the idea would be is to create sort of a cohesive, unified vision. So as this does get played out, there's some coordination around infrastructure, placemaking, obviously some of the streetscape changes that can improve some of the connectivity, integrate better safety. And so one of the things that we wanted to do out in this plan is really just lay out sort of a clear path of what that would look like. So, you know, is it a policy, it is a program, is it an action? and then essentially get into the details of who would be responsible for that, and really, I think, the appropriate timing so that the plan can start sort of being implemented and build upon itself. And so through that, just like you had in any mixed-use process, having a program manager, somebody to point to, obviously that could be a role of the city manager, could be shared with other outside parties. I'd mentioned that this is just a policy document, that there's a lot of great ideas and framework. Ultimately, we would see this being regulated and adopted as part of your zoning with some of the things that we heard tonight, setbacks and height and density and uses that you would, sort of allow or disallow. All that would get done through the regulation process. We do see that as an important component next. And then ultimately, once the plan is approved and adopted, there'd be some levels of infrastructure. A lot of that would be coordinated with the private development, but there'd be some steps that you would want to take into place, maybe some pre-design and some coordination of infrastructure. And so through that process, we really laid out from the beginning to zoning, to adopting the process, to implementation, to activating the plan. And then ultimately, we laid out a process for outreach, perhaps contacting parties and developers and uses that could complement the vision and start to activate the plan. Through this process, one of the things that was, I think, a strong goal of staff, and I know it's something that council and planning and economic development found very important, is that, through this process, we did want to do a strong market analysis and make sure that we could underwrite that there was need and desire here. But I think one of the things that's been helpful is the fiscal test, is looking at, are these uses appropriate? Can they be sustainable? And essentially, what's the opportunity for the town approving this plan at really different scales or levels of program based on uses? And so we did show that there's demand for office and retail and additional residential and dining, but through that process, we also looked at what's the fiscal implications to the town, what's the potential land cost, assuming that, some of this could be developed, and also, today, based on current building values and construction costs, how would all this pencil? And essentially, each one of these would be positive or accretive to the overall development. Obviously, the retail would be most favorable. Obviously, some amount of integrated residential would also be favorable based on current rents and cost, but we did see support for additional dining, and office was certainly lagging just because of where rents are. But one of the things that we underscored is there is capacity for more office, and I know there's sort of this friction between residential and what's appropriate, and I think office is a good way of getting scale. Certainly as you think about second floor uses or above, that office would be a component that could integrate scale without having to sort of sacrifice and have a substantial amount of sort of urban living or residential into the project if that was a concern. And so that's why we underwrote all these components. Ultimately, when you get into zoning, you can prescribe things in or out and the capacity for those things, but we did want to make sure that you understood that all of the market would support these uses. I think McAdams has done a good job of laying out a framework to accommodate those uses, and essentially we tested all this through a fiscal lens to make sure that it's feasible, fundable, and constructible.
Okay. You're completed. Do we want?
Yes, Mayor.
Do you want to ask some questions? Is that what we want to do? Okay. It's open, please.
Okay, I'll start.
Go ahead. Mhm.
I'll start. So appreciate y'all putting all this together. Obviously, this, like you said, this was the result of several rounds of iteration. I know there was resident engagement. You guys had a couple things. We've seen it with EDC and without. So I think the important thing to underscore for the public is one of the things you said was that this is policy, not zoning. I would even go beyond that, in that policy, in my mind, and the way we make decisions when development occurs, policy may even be too strong of a word. This, to me, is the purpose of this, as I saw it, and it was just kicking off when I was sworn in about a year ago, is to establish a template that communicates to potential developers to allow them to understand what it is that we will be attempting to do in the future. And I think you mentioned that the idea was to establish the vision, right?
Vision, sure.
Yeah, and so that's cool. And you know, I want to address some of our residents' concerns because they're my concerns as well. In several of the rounds of discussions about this, the discussion of multifamily was brought up, and I've said it many times before. Over the 11 years I've been involved in local leadership, and one of the things is that the way Trophy Club is put together, you know, we're overwhelmingly residential. The amount of commercial property that we have available is not a lot. So even no matter what we do commercially, the viable commercial developments for us will not substantially change our financial outlook as a town, if that makes sense, right? So thus, that means that any non-residential development or any development at all that keys on non-residential should be thought of in a way to increase the value and the quality of life for our residents, and also to give us, you know, certain amenities maybe that we wouldn't have otherwise. And that's why it's well known that apartments are the third rail of Trophy Club politics. I have said many times that I won't support that. I don't intend to support it. I think we can all achieve our collective objectives as neighbors without touching that third rail. People are sensitive to it. I completely understand it. When I was 24 years old and I bought my first house here, I looked at the zoning map and I said, what's it planned for? And I know a lot of other people do the same thing. So I hear you on that. And another thing that I did give some feedback a couple cycles ago about the way the drawings are put together. And Mr. Evans, just to you and Ms. Evans' concerns about the distance to the lot lines and things, purely concept. It's when the public hears the word plan, when you have a plan, when your boss asks you for a plan, what's that mean? It means you're going to show your boss how you're going to get it done. That's not what this is. This is a plan. Calling it a concept plan is even, it's a concept. And execution against the concept contains a plan, but it's not a construction plan, it's not a site plan, it's not a layout, it's not a zoning document like you said. So your concerns are heard and shared.
Can I say just one quick thing?
Oh, sure, you can come to the mic though.
I appreciate your comments there, Rylan. But there's, you know, a couple things that wasn't addressed. I never got a conversation from these guys, and this directly affects me in my backyard. There was no consultative
Right.
at all.
So to assuage some of your concerns on that, Mr. Evans, when and if at any point in time there's imminent development there are laws that require notice for people when they're within. So that's a great point. I'm so glad you brought that up. That proves how loose this is.
Yeah.
That proves how, in fact, the first meeting we had about this, I said, do we have to have the drawings be this detailed? Because I anticipated this very conversation. So yeah, you're right on the money.
Well, the whole thing about, and the reason why I'm making comments on this and the rest of us that live around that is that maybe we can sway those plans while they're being developed.
Absolutely.
It's not, I know that it's not set in stone yet. And I know something will be set in stone, but if we can sway that in one
100%.
direction or the other.
Well, you brought up the great example of the hotel at the end of Valleywood Court, you know? I remember when that went up. It's like, I'm glad I'm not there, you know?
Thank you.
I'm just curious, did y'all attend any of the meetings that we had? We had a showcase here where all
I've been to
things-
one.
Did you come, and did you give some input at that time?
Yeah, I believe so. I tried. No, I tried, but y'all wasn't allowing comments at that time.
No. When we had when the McAdams came and had a full house presentation, we had a presentation for 2 days regarding the
I didn't know anything
potential
about that
opportunity.
until just this year. I didn't know anything about this
okay.
whole thing
No,
until
okay.
this year.
Well, I
Because,
mean,
again, this information is being put together, again, with community input. And like Rylan says, we are in a look and see. This
Very much so.
is something that we want to pursue in a way that brands and reinforces Trophy Club.
I understand.
And we want the opportunity to grow with this economic community, Westlake, Southlake, and Roanoke. So we're looking at the opportunity to, how do we fit that, and how do we maximize this space in such a way that it invites people in to eat, play, entertain,
I understand.
and we're just looking.
Yep.
It's an integrated, we have space out there that it's not being used right now, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And we, that's what we're wanting to do, is to
Y'all are
look at
annexing
how
more
best to
land.
do that. What?
Well, that's
Y'all
for
are annexing more land.
That's residential way up by the
Yeah.
core property.
Yeah.
But also, to contrast to that point, I know we got feedback from residents that multifamily is not on their list. And I said it as unequivocally as I could. Like I said, 11-year history of standing on business about, listen, I want to caveat this first by saying that I understand the more broader societal or global need for housing, right? But for Trophy Club, apartments aren't happening. And I said it multiple times, and it still ended up here.
I appreciate that.
So
This plan draws multifamily to the town.
that's why this is a major discussion point, right? So I completely understand, even with all the experience I have sitting here in these situations before and making that very clear to our consultants, it still ended up here, which I don't care for, because I told them that we would end up having this conversation, right? And here we are. I think we need to remember, we know our community. So appreciate the input, obviously, Mr. Evans. Now, I will say, though, generally speaking, as it relates to cataloging the demand for commercial and also the fact that there's, other potential uses, I think that's great. We obviously want to pursue it. I want to have something on record that says, this is what we're trying to do. We have 5 acres in one spot. We have over 2 in another that are ours to figure out how to develop. Obviously, there are other opportunities that might get redeveloped down the road. We want to be able to show sort of what the framework is for that. But in order to be able to move forward with it and have it be publicly palatable, we have to take multifamily off the table. Like, that's just for me, that's the only way we can move forward.
Thanks. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Yes, Dennis?
I guess I'll make my comments. I got many of them. First of all, this is a plan, but it's also a broken-up plan because of the different pieces that it would take decades to implement. The vineyards, I've been told by a apartment specialist, has at least a 30-year life cycle left. So before you even think about rezoning the vineyards, you're going to have to wait 30 years. The other is the broken up part. Okay. Looking at my copy of the plan, first of all, I totally object to having the council photo in there. That's totally political. I'm going to vote against this, and I don't want my name associated with it. 2, I object to the residential. Trophy Club was started many years ago, as was mentioned, but it became incorporated because someone put apartments in it. The vineyards created Trophy Club. That's what happened and what started it. We can't let it happen again. The majority of people, no, I don't know about a majority. In my opinion, a lot of people spoke against the apartments called the Bevan right now, okay? Council voted for it. Not unanimous, but it was, all those that voted for it were not elected the next election. That's my remembrance. I'll try and speed it up. Okay.
No, I'm just.
The other thing is, in my opinion, most mixed uses buildings are not successful. There are some. The ones that are mentioned in here are larger out-of-town complexes. One's 274 acres, the other 60-something acres. And they were built and made as one unit, not a broken-up unit. The Bevan was at one time supposed to be a mixed-use building, and we were told at the time they couldn't get financing for it. I don't think Colleyville's or the North Richland Hills has been very successful. There may be others. The other thing is on page 17, they're wrong. Plaza Drive does not dead end into a parking lot. It actually connects it, and I use it all the time. Number 5, if we're going to put residential here, if we're going to put apartments here, we don't need any incentive. We do not need an EDC. Apartment guys look for stuff. They don't have to be enticed. The other thing is we need commercial. We don't need any more parkland or municipal gathering places. We have hundreds, if not 1,000 acres of parkland, and some of it's not being used. And I will vote against it. Thank you.
Yes, Steve.
I'll keep my comments very short. This is, and Ryland said it best, this is a template, right, for developers. I mean, we have to have some sort of guidelines to start. What I don't want the takeaway to be with our friends here who've worked so hard is all the things we don't want. Those are valid points, and we'll work our way through that. But, you know, there's a lot of commonality that we can have that we should start to harvest that thought, you know, businesses, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't want you guys walking away thinking, you know, this is not going to work at all. I mean, we're in the early stages here, but we got to start somewhere. So I like what we've started. The feedback from the group is so important, and let's continue to have that feedback going forward.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Steve, but if I could just add, unless, Gary, did you, I don't want to.
Yeah, I was just going to agree on no multi-story. I completely agree. No multi-use, 100% on track with that. Because like when this was discussed and we were talking about the multi-use, I'm like, well, where are the kids going to play? Because they're surrounded by restaurant and bars, so we don't want them in there. So that's not going to happen. I agree on the use of the picture of town council. It's kind of like a false endorsement or suggestive endorsement, so I'm not a fan of that. The other thing too is also, I think this is also an opportunity, and we're in the early stages like we're talking about. So right now we're calling it the Grove at TC, right? And we talk about getting people in this town involved. So one of the things that I'd like for the people of this town to consider, and the board, the town council to consider also, is I've had the great opportunity to be on the committees to interview people for different boards in this town. And I've told the mayor, we've got some amazing talent here. I think this is a great opportunity for the residents of this town to kind of put a name for this place, make it something unique. Where I'm going with that is like the Grove at TC, I think that's a great start. But, you know, we also, this is our last development, and if we can tie it into some of our heritage, like Medellin, right? Medellin Marketplace, something like that, I think it's a great start. But I'm all for no multi-mix, none of that, nope. Thank you.
Well, I'm just going to say that I think we need a vision from which to work. And if it does not include this or this or this, that's fine. But we, as an organization, as a town, we have space out there in front of this town. This is a major entrance into Trophy Club. And for us not to take the opportunity to make this an inviting, good experience to come into, to invite people into Trophy Club at this space, I think we're missing an opportunity that it will pass us by, and we will be sitting here with this space, filling it up as we want to do it, versus having a vision and a plan to do it. I will not support anything that does not have a plan. And this project is giving us a place to start with a plan. Now, what that plan is going to look like based on working with them after this, I'm not sure. And right now, mixed use, that, you know, maybe, I'm not saying it's not going to be there, and I'm not going to say it is going to be there. I'm not putting a stake in the ground until we get further down the road.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned how we really do need a plan. That's actually what I was going to add to what Steve spoke. I won all the way along. I mean, we had an incredibly productive joint meeting with the EDC, whenever, I guess it was February or March timeframe, about those details. and came away, I mean, and you guys took, 90% of the feedback, but you missed the part where we said, we don't want to put our names next to something with apartments in it in writing. And yes, I could have called up Brandon the next week or the month after and checked on that. But the first 5.5 years I was on council, I stayed involved at that level. And honestly, I shouldn't have to, especially for something that's that fundamental to the way we operate in Trophy Club and have for 40 years, as Dennis pointed out. So, it's a shame that we have to have this conversation now when at what seems like the finish line, but I don't think I could have made it any more clear. And I think that's been it's been a hallmark of the way residents in Trophy Club interact with their leaders literally since its founding. So there's no working around that. The remainder of the framework that we have is perfectly useful because, again, the utility of this is to have something that articulates the right vision and helps to jumpstart the activities that we might need. Because, years and years ago when we first acquired the 5 acres and the 2.5 acres, there was talk about, let's go out for RFP, let's do this, let's do that. But it was an unstructured effort. This can help to establish a structured effort. But, that's one key concern that we have to work around to have a plan in writing that we can get behind.
Excuse me just a minute, but again, it reminds me of, we just were awarded the financial award. And he specifically said, one of the primary reasons is we looked at 10 years with capital improvement. Specifically said, we had something on paper to direct our activities, our financial activities. And this is the same thing. If we don't have something on paper that gives us a vision from which to operate, a developer will not come. They won't come in here and build a corner bakery. A developer won't do it. Is that correct? If we have this space out here, and if we as a town think it's an important piece of development, without it, will a developer come?
No, Mayor, but I think council, y'all made some great points, and I want to be clear, at least from my perspective and McAdams, there was really no intention to include or exclude really any product type in this. This is not a multi-family forward plan. We hear you loud and clear. And I'll also say on the record, as a matter of market, you couldn't build enough multifamily to drive a market. No. You're absolutely right. Yeah. There's plenty of regional residential. If you need residential to drive more market demand, there's plenty of capacity out there, and that's one of the reasons that we did the trade area work that we did. I will say that, at some point, if there was any integrated, urban residential, I think the value of it would be for scale and vibrancy, not market. And we don't feel like it's critical to require multifamily in this development for this plan to be successful. I think the intention of this goal was to create a set of unified goals around some clearly stated vision goals that again, mentioned that you guys spent a lot of time developing, that those goals would be reflected in the framework of this plan, and this plan would become a vision document that, the development could essentially leverage off of. But in no way, shape, or form was this intended, or is it intended, or is it written to support or endorse or encourage really any specific product type. But it's more around block organization, scale, building rhythm, and organization that you don't have. And this document really is intended to become a policy document or a guide, maybe that's a softer way of saying it, to enable the town to make better decisions going forward. And it allows the town to be really the de facto master development when you have so many fragmented parcels. And really that's the real goal, is that you own some parcels, some other people own some parcels. Some of these have played out maybe appropriately. Some of these parcels are undervalued and underdeveloped, and then some of these have uses that, at some point, if you could make the decisions today, you may have not approved those. And so this is a way to enable you guys to organize something over a 20 or 30 or 40-year vision. But In no way, until you go through the zoning process, is this meant to endorse any specific use. And really, there's not any land use details written in this plan. It's really about building organization, showing how you could coordinate infrastructure, and accommodate some placemaking that is missing. There is a sort of a sense of place and arrival based on the significance of this location. This level of thinking is warranted, and I think it's needed. And I think it's a unique moment in time for you guys to take advantage of, but I don't want this plan to be misrepresentative of something that it's not.
So should we vote in approval of this? It does not suggest that we're doing apartments.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Totally.
It does?
Yeah, oh, no.
It does suggest that?
This is a
We're-
plan.
we're look-
You're supposed to be attracting developers. It has multifamily here. It has multi-use. That is attracting your developers to look at you.
So we
That
cannot,
means you're
so we
attracting.
cannot adjust it according to what we, to,
If you took the word, okay, I apologize.
can we take it
I
out?
don't know how to reconsider it. Right now, my vote's no, but let's put it this way. I'm not against a plan. I'm not against the plan for the 54 acres. I may think it's a little bit too scattered. At the same time, I want to stop spending money on this. And I can't approve it as long as it has multifamily or residential in it. That's me. But the other thing is, I'd also like to reconsider and relook at what's been brought up by our residents, and that's the multi-story right up against them, and or get their consideration. And I don't know how to proceed. I mean, besides voting no, I'd love to be able to say, let's table it because we want to try to do this. But I don't want to spend any more money.
So my question to you, do we have to table it? Do we not vote for it because of because of these objections?
I'd like. You know what I would do is if I was to move to approve it, I would move to approve it contingent on some edits. Wouldn't be the first time. Excuse me, sorry.
Okay. Bless you. Don't choke.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brandon, can you weigh in?
Let me jump in a little bit. So if you go to the document itself, okay, and you take a look at what it has around this topic. Now this is how I recall a little bit of our conversation during the EDC and the joint meeting with the council. So if you go to kind of the main outcomes that we're trying to be achieved here, right? Connectivity, something for businesses, right? Developing community spaces. And the last part was this housing for the 55-plus demographic, right? Was that if there is housing to be had in the development, right? That wasn't a foregone conclusion, but it was something that could be considered as an element of the plan, right? That there would be more willingness on the 55-plus demographic than there would be for general plans for that on it. And so I'll agree that the plan itself, it absolutely says, housing is something to look at in this area as you're looking for the building masses and things like that. It's not the only thing, and it's not like that. If the council is saying that housing will not be permitted in this zone, then I would say let's table the item for now, because we need to revise the document in such a way that there is no reference to housing being considered for that. I will mention right now that you have literally across the street a multi-housing development going in.
Exactly.
In this very zone on that part, right? So I would caution the council against the idea of all types of multifamily versus some types you might want to consider and let in. I think that's where we had been talking about this previously. Some elements of multifamily, the types that might be more townhouse, height restricted, things like that, might be more acceptable. 55 plus might be more acceptable versions to some degree within the zone for it. So my point being, if the intent of the council is literally no residential in the zone, I think we do need to take this document back and revise it for that element for it. If it is, we're open to the conversation of some versions of housing, I would agree. I don't think anyone's here today saying build a 4-story, 5-story, 6-story apartment building. I don't think that's been on the table at all for any of these conversations for it. But it's been, can there be some ways to integrate some of that housing element in there?
And, well, I think that's I'm glad you brought it up in those terms, because that really kind of gets to, and how did our conversations go with the EDC, right? And there was a lot of talk about age-restricted residential, right? And so we did kind of come away from that saying sort of, well, if there has to be something, and yet we hear from our consultants that there doesn't have to be, but we keep going back to bending over backwards to find a pinhole to squeeze residential through. And I ask us all the question, why? It's been my question ever since 2012, when I first was made aware that this was a conversation in Trophy Club after I'd already lived here 8 or 9 years at that time. And so it's like, well, why? If people don't want it, if it creates a certain level of discourse that we get split and divided on and takes our eye off the real ball, because again, what did I say at the outset of this? It will not change our makeup as a town. It will not change our financial outlook as a town. So why in 2025 am I having the same conversation I had to have in 2012? I shouldn't have to. And I guess that's why I didn't belabor it when we were in there, because I kind of feel like people get tired of hearing me say the same things over and over. But I guess maybe I need to just repeat myself more often. So I'd be in favor of eliminating residential all the way so that we have a commercially oriented plan and we can build off of it and we can move forward towards our shared objectives.
I'll go along with everything he said, I think. Using over 55, using, older age or whatever is just another word for apartment, so I'm against any residential, period, the word residential. If we did table it and asked it to be taken back and redone without residential, and some consideration for the multi-story facing over the, our residents, I don't know if that's really a broad brush, because at one time we were going to put a garage back there. How much money are we spending? I mean, are we going to spend another $10,000, $20,000 to redo this thing?
No.
I mean, I'd go along with tabling it, and I'll go along with eliminating some wording there. But at the same time, I sure would like to know what the contract extension is going to be.
I mean, how hard is it just to delete apartments or
Well,
whatever
like
from
Brandon
the?
said, you just can't just eliminate the word.
We'll need to take a look at it, look at it. I don't have an answer for you tonight. I don't know that we're prepared to give you one on that point of it. So we'll have to take a look at it.
On that basis, I'd go along with tabling.
I would also say that in terms of height or distance from existing development or adjacency to residential, I think my recommendation to approach that was, those are all zoning items. And so if those are concerns, and I won't neglect the comments that I heard tonight, and if that wants to be reflected in some language in the document somewhere, that it needs to be context sensitive, but that level of detail probably needs to be included in the regulating phase.
And that's
and not
exactly why in
this phase.
February I said it's a bad idea to have building footprints. See, you keep talking about how that would be handled in zoning. I understand that, you understand that. This is also a communication tool with our residents, and I feel like I've told you guys that multiple times, and it just you're doing a great job at what you're experts at, but you're not listening to what we say when we talk about how we need to communicate the concepts to our voters. So so whatever we got to do, I understand it's not that we'll handle it in zoning, okay, and so does everyone else here, at least from this point forward, but. We need to, if this is going to exist and it's going to have everyone's, seal of approval on it, we need to make sure that it functions as a communicative document that doesn't mislead people, because people will assume things and we have to anticipate that. I'm sorry if I sound rude by saying this, but I anticipated it in February. So that's my goal for any amendments we make.
And again, maybe some footnotes saying that this is illustrative only and conceptual would be important, but it is also important to show and illustrate, organization and building rhythms and setbacks and greens, and, those rules are also important in terms of integrating, those design principles into the drawings. But some footnotes would, may mitigate some of those concerns.
Mayor, if council's finished talking, I'd make a motion to table with
I'd
the
second.
instructions.
Steve seconds.
second.
All those in favor, raise your hand.
But I do appreciate your last comment. You're listening, all right? You hear us, okay?
Yeah.
There's-
And also find out somebody that can explain to me why we need 12-foot, not 8-foot paths for pedestrians.
12 please.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Okay, we will now go to item 13.
Consider authorizing the town manager to negotiate and execute a construction contract with Bain Group in the amount not to exceed $2,759,918 for the renovation project, construction project at the Trophy Club Community Pool.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Excited to be up here, and I think, thinking about all the discussions that have been going on, tonight is a great example of the process of local government. And I think, earlier in our work session with the Parks and Rec Board here, as well as the council, having open discussion about these options, that of what we want to do to enhance the community pool, I think there was some very healthy discussion there. And just as we go into this agenda item, just for the public, just kind of review these options that we talked about in the work session here. And this is a culmination of years of work as well, just like what we've been talking about on the other agenda items, that looking at what previous work has been done, as well as getting the community involved, and then going into that design work of how we can best allocate those funds. And just for the public to know that we did the design work and went out to bid, and just like with a lot of projects, is looking at what can we get for our allocated budget, but then if it comes over budget, what are some viable options? And that's one thing that I really value as a staff, to be able to bring to council and to the board's viable options to make these improvements that the community will be able to be a part of and be able to also experience. So as we know, the design options that we had that went out to bid, we had 2 general contractors that came in and brought us bids. The lowest bid with all the amenities included was right about $2.7 million. Our budget is a little over 2.1 for this phase of the project. And so we went back to the lowest bidder, which was the Fane Group, which Larry is here with us tonight, as well as our partners from Park Hill and WTI, over the last 8 days to create 4 viable options that meet all of the things that the community has voiced that they wanted. Some others, to bring down the costs, meet multiple of those items. And so that's where those discussions were through the work session. So option 1 is looking at including the options of redoing the kiddie pool as well as the slide area, but basically eliminating any of the enhanced shade areas. That one comes in at $2,064,455, just about $21,000 under budget. Option 2 is doing all the improvements, but moving aside and not including the slide complex. And so that one came in at $1.8 million, $3,201, about $282,490 under budget, contingency included. Option 3 is looking at the shade structures and those site improvements, but looking at our current kiddie pool and looking at enhancing a shade structure over that and redoing a few of the things in the pool that help with the maintenance side, which that allocated about $25,000 to take care of those things that were addressed in the audit of mechanically, what did we need to improve, a slide structure, as well as all the improvements of the shade and shade structures throughout the facility. That one came in at $1,804,746, about $280,945 under budget. Now, option 4 was looking at, and Brandon spoke to this about, uncommitted available funding if there's room, and we didn't feel like, the 2.7 was way over budget, but how could we bring something closer down to it, but also know that this is a long-term investment for the community. A lot of these improvements are going to be, pools typically have a 20 to 50 year lifespan. Slide structures, fiberglass with a maintenance plan is anywhere from 20 to 50 years. Of looking that over these next 20 to 50 years, these are the enhancements that the kids are going to experience when they come to the pool. And so looking at that, to get that price down was eliminating some of the shade structures of replacement. I will bring to light here in the middle, those, we currently have long rectangular shades. Those will remain there. It just won't be the individual cabana style. And removal of one of the slides, that structure will be built to accommodate 2 slides. So in the future, if we wanted to add another slide, it would be just purchasing the actual slide itself to connect to the structure, which is about $90,000 in today's fees. But, you know, as cost escalations go up, that could be more in the future. This one came out to $2,481,482, right about $395,791 over budget, and that does include our contingency. As we spoke with the park board, they did make a recommendation at the work session their recommendation is to move forward with option 4 at a 4-2 vote. And I will open it up to y'all for discussion.
I have one very specific question, because it's been brought up multiple times about how that middle spot there in between the kiddie pool and the lap pool, we obviously have shade there now, but this is just kind of an upgrade on it. How much do we save on that? Do you know off the top of your head, order of magnitude? I assume it's not very much.
75,000.
Okay, so,
Yes.
okay, thanks. I just was looking for, is it
75,000.
15,000, is it 50, is it?
75.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thanks.
So that with the 90,000 is where we got to 2
Gotcha.
point.
Okay, that was,
Yep.
we can talk. I just wanted to get that, because I figured eventually someone would ask.
Yep.
Other comments? Any questions?
I'll just repeat what I said before. I'm not an advocate of going over the budget. I don't think we should be doing that. If you look at the options, which would not be option 4, which is the over budget, option 1 to me is the best. I think we all felt that doing something with the kiddie pool was critical. The other cabanas and whatnot coverage, not as much, and still leaving in a slide. So I would be an advocate, which is about, by the way, dead on the budget, little 21 grand under. So that's where I stand.
So Brandon, I got a quick question. So the under budget money, right, the Parks Group can use that in other places then too, is that correct?
It would need to be allocated by the council.
Right.
But you could use it for that or anything else, yes.
Okay. Your bathrooms.
A start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern when I see option 4, is I keep seeing that 395 and a comma and 3 more digits, and I just keep thinking what that would do for bathrooms. If we went with option 4, and then if anyone ever mentioned anything to me about the bathrooms, I would send them a picture of the slide, or the slides, plural, whatever, and say, sorry, I wasn't for it. Like, I know that sounds kind of flippant, but that's how I feel about it. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately relative to things that have nothing to do with Trophy Club, but to do with my real job that I get paid to do, because of limited resources and resource allocation. And I've been thinking a lot about how to achieve better outcomes faster. And a lot of the things I see when I read these little newsletters and leadership things that come in your email every week, and you do your research. One of the things that I've seen twice in the last month is about keying on your strengths. A lot of times as leaders, we focus in on the weakness, and we are so worried about leveling up the weakness that we lose top line productivity where all our strengths are. I'm pausing as why we're getting into the water slide game. I don't really want to be in. I'm just me personally, and I have kids that are writing that demo, but 2 of our board members, at least, who I know have the same demo, and they were for it. So this is a totally personal opinion, but for me, I'm like, I can foresee 10 years we're sitting here going, oh crap, it's another 110 grand to maintain the slide this year. For our 5th year interval or whatever, and I'm asking myself, what does 2 slides really get the community relative to the aggregate cost, but understand that's gonna be a difference of opinion. So if we have, if we're not gonna move off the slide, I do agree with Steve that at least we have option one. I just hate to see all that shade go away.
Yes, Dave.
Brandon, I'm going to take my antacid tonight. I'm changing my mind.
Hold on.
Go to option 4. Okay. The kiddie pool, I think, what I've heard from other council people and everything, and the Parks Board needs to be redone now or whatever. It's going to have to be. So now's the time to do it. The slide, we promised for years the citizens of this town that there'd be a slide. So I got to go with that. I mean, and the shades, I've heard tonight, that was my one variable, and I've heard a lot of people talk about the need for, by residents for shade. So now it comes down to me voting for something that's over budget, which gets to me. We have a budget, we've already approved. I don't want to use the word excess funds. We have additional funds, okay? Not to exceed 3 million. Correct? Did I?
Correct, yeah.
Correct. Okay? That can be used. But you're not using the entire 3 million. So if other council people want to spend 500,000 on bathrooms, it's available. Or there's other avenues to attack that. I'm not trying to diminish what your comments were. But trying to come in under budget by $20,000 or something in order so that we can spend some money on the bathrooms just doesn't make sense to me, but either. So it's not to say that the money's there, let's spend it. I hate that attitude. But it is available. It seems to be a good time to do it. So I am going to reverse myself and go with option 4.
Would you like to say something, Gary?
No, I'm going to be, I'll be honest, I'm going to be option number 2. 4 out of the 5, so.
I want to throw one more thought out there while we're thinking about sort of the allocation of funds, like Dennis, you were talking about. And just something else to think about. I'm very excited for this, and I hope you two and the rest of y'all are too. We're going to have our parks master plan. It's going to have a menu that's going to put the Cheesecake Factory to shame on a number of things we could spend money on.
Yeah.
And I'm telling y'all, I've lived here 20 years. I've served for 11. No one's ever said slide. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that's a really expensive survey if it causes us to build slides that's not as big of a demand as maybe what we see relative to the whole community, not just a pool amenity list of things you could put in a pool. Sure, if you want to make a list of things you can put in a pool, it's going to be at the top. Who wouldn't want one? But when I think about the big picture, man, I don't know. It's just.
So there's no way you're going to get 50 years out of a slide. You said 20 to 50, right? That means a kid who's 14 today will be 64 when we retire that slide if we do 50 years life expectancy, right? They'll be a senior citizen.
There are slides in operation that are that old.
And then what's the cost of ownership every year? So that's.
So with the maintenance plan, just like where we just came from in DeSoto, we had a 2-slide facility. And with that slide, we had ongoing maintenance that we would do every year, that we would buff and wax just like you do your cars to put that protective coating on that helps do that. And we just did a new gel coat on that with the renovation of that project. And it was 25 years old. And that's good for another, if they maintain that maintenance schedule. And there's a lot of other slides and facilities that are like that, more so on the smaller end, because we know that if we put those funds into a project like this, it is on us as the staff to be able to create a plan for maintenance to make that longevity happen. And some of those other components like motors, things like that, those are things that we've got to build into our maintenance plan over the 5-10 years. And we talk about the master plan. Yeah, we're going to have a menu of things that we want to do, but that's not just next year. that is going to be over a 10-year plan of being able to look at that, as well as our maintenance on our current facilities.
What year was the kiddie pool built?
The original kiddie one?
Yeah, 2011, you said?
No, that's the splash pad.
Yeah, that was
the
the
kiddie one was
splash
probably
pad.
2004, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was early 2000s when the original pool.
I think that
was built.
original facility was
Do you remember,
2004.
James, on that? 2004.
So 20 years is a fair life cycle then, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think that's a massive priority. I mean, you want to talk about
absolutely.
value of use, your
Actually, on
toddler
the kiddie pool, I'd rather see more
folks.
shade for the parents while they're watching the kids play, so
Yeah.
that.
That's why I hate them.
And that
Okay,
was
let-
one of those things that why having the shade over the kiddie pool and then those cabanas in in item 7, having that some of those older kids that as they're playing on the play feature, you know, we have shade close to that, because currently we only have one shade structure that's right where 06 is. It's a circular one, but it's also kind of odd to fit multiple people under there.
Okay,
I have a
let's,
question.
yeah, good, Jeff, go for it.
Okay. The age group that the slides would address, is that roughly what? Because it's 42 inches in height. And maybe somebody can give me an idea of kid sizes, because all my kids are over 40 right now.
They're definitely old enough.
It was right about 5 to 6, and then up to 106.
Up until they're too cool to come to the pool, basically. Yeah.
I still love
Yeah.
going down them, so.
Dennis is gonna go down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is there a maximum weight limit on these pools?
Is there a what? Did you
A
ask?
weight limit for people to use these?
There usually is some sort of a way.
There is, but
Get in?
I don't have that number on it.
Okay.
300.
Wow.
So I guess I could go down.
Stacy, do you have anything to say?
No, I was just gonna say your average 42 inches, about a 5 to a 6-year-old kid, which those kids cannot go to Hawaiian Falls. So we're giving something to the demographic.
What do you mean they
asking
can't go to
something.
Hawaiian Falls?
They can, but they have to be supervised with a parent.
Just
And
like
this gives
here.
the parent an option to stay closer to home.
Yeah,
Okay, Stacy,
they
speak.
can walk up.
Ryland, Stacy, speak.
I understand, but like, you can't make a blanket statement that's false.
Wait a
You
minute.
have to qualify it with adjectives.
Okay, so, thank you, Stacy. Okay, I will vote for option 4 because I want a complete new environment that's put together, and that we're not gonna have to go back and redo the kiddie pool, or we're not gonna have to go back and add another slide. We will have a site for the families and the children's and the moms and the dads to gather at and swim, and particularly the shade. And I also would like to say that I appreciated Gary's comments, who runs a very large city, Parks. And he was very clear on the importance of shade and the cost of shade. It costs shade, but it's a very important aspect, feature of parks now. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to come down on option 2 because it gives us all that. And if there was a potential, we could stub piping in to potentially look at adding the slides later on. I would like to consider that.
Okay,
Good idea.
so we have a motion, do we want a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion that we approve number 4,
Okay,
option 4.
okay. Second, anybody second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Quick question. You mentioned that you had a similar facility in DeSoto, right?
Yeah.
Like roughly same order of magnitude?
Just like the slide structure, we had different bodies of water.
Sure, of course, but the slide was the same?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's DeSoto's, last time you guys were there, what's their total operating budget annually?
I don't.
Over 100 million.
Yeah, okay. And they
don't
have
have
about
that.
60,000 people. This feels too big for, gut feeling, it feels too big for Trophy Club. that's one of the reasons why I'm not super comfortable with it.
Yeah. And just for the record, that was just clarification on the maintenance.
Oh, sure,
of the
yeah, and
slides.
of course, and I think that was an important point, obviously, because we have, everything has COI, right? I mean, it's just part of life.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor? 1, 2. Who, anybody else? 1, 2.
3.
Oh, who else? Oh,
Stacy.
Stacy, okay. All those opposed? Motion fails.
But before we move on, I could bring a motion to the floor to approve option 2, if I can get a second.
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 Yeah, I mean, I understand the desire for the slide, I really do. I think we're biting off a little more than we can chew as a town. I think it's not the best use of our limited resources. And I know that's not, what everybody wants to hear, but those are the decisions sometimes you have to make when you sit in these chairs.
Who made a motion?
I had the motion
Motion,
and
I seconded.
Gary.
I seconded it.
Okay.
And then there's
Oh,
H,
we
yeah.
have a third. Okay, all those in favor
Option 2?
of option 2? 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3. Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. We're
Thank you, everybody.
excited to
Oh.
get started on this.
Yep, thank you, thank you.
Oh, actually, I think, can I make a motion to bring the item back to the floor? Point of order. I'd like to bring the item back to the floor. If our
Second.
parliamentarian.
Mary, I heard your gavel, but I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
hear that, wait,
Okay.
wait,
Don't.
wait. I didn't hear that we were adjourned, so.
No, we didn't.
I understand there's a
What do you-
Yeah. I need to stay parliamentarily clean on this, but, so I don't know if I need to mention why I want to bring it back to the floor before or what, but we need to give a not to exceed number. Right?
Well, do you have a second?
Yes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Steve seconds.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'd like to reconsider the item and make a substitute motion where we would authorize the town manager to negotiate and execute a construction contract with Fain Group in an amount not to exceed $2 million, considering option 2 as presented tonight. If I can get a second.
Need a second, please. Steve seconds.
Yep.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. We are,
Hold
what,
on.
what?
Wait. Can you call that vote again? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I saw some hands up late.
The 3,
We got 4-3.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is
4-3, it's 4-3.
it 4-3?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Are you good?
Now
All right.
we're adjourned.
9:23,
Thank
we
you.
adjourn.